Hello friends and followers! In this video I want to lead you through the whole process of sketching the name Even Blaker from the first lines over the outlines, fill in, character, everything. Let's start! Yo, and this is voice-over-Smoe. I will lead you through the whole video, give you a lot of helpful tips. And I start with a tiny sketch, just sketching the name Blaker, B-L-A-K-E-R, always leaning to different sides. I start with the B leaning to the left and it ends with an R leaning to the right. So I have a rhythm of angles and I want to work with this rhythm in the letters. This will give the whole letter composition a little bit more motion. The customer wished to have the name Even Blaker, but I decided not to go with a 10 letters graffiti. The last time I did this was with this word, Style Mania. It has 10 letters and I think 10 letters is just too much. It always looks like a long sausage. I don't want to sketch a long sausage. I want to sketch a great graffiti sketch. And in my opinion, yeah, somehow it stops around 8 letters. That it still looks good, and afterwards you have to really squeeze the letters too much to have in my opinion a good look for the letters. So I decided to work only with the surname Blaker and not go with the first name and the surname. So I will make the Blaker in big and put the Even in a speech bubble, or there are so many different ideas that we can include in it, how we can add even to it. So I start only with the Blaker, and the L here is something new that I have to admit. There was a comment in one of my last videos. I will show it to you real quick. It was this comment here from Solid Break 6371, and he said that my L's always look pretty much the same and that they are pretty hard to be divided from extra elements. So let's have a look on some different sketches that I have done where an L is included, and we start with Laura, and yeah, this is a very long, thin L at the bottom, and Olivia, yeah, has pretty much the same L. Lazy, yeah, I have to say Solid Break is absolutely right. I always do Rumply here. I always do the same L at the bottom. It is always thin, has this one hook at the end that goes up. Here, One Family, it is the same. Faisal at the end. The ending is a little bit more boxy, but it is still the same. Julia, you are absolutely right. Josh Tan Lee, also Alex Fat. Yeah, what should I say? He was absolutely right. The only thing where I did it differently was at Tingle, where I added 2 arrows to the L, and when I did this sketch for, where is it? Not Escalante, it's still the same L. Morales, also the same L. Where is it? Here, Framel with the hook downwards. So now we want to do something different here. We want to work with a thick bar at the bottom as well. And the golden rule of all letters that I sketch is that they have the same thickness of the thick parts, and they all have thin parts as well. So the thin part of the L needs to be somewhere else. So I give it this hook at the right side and add this thin part at the bottom. So it has thin and thick parts, like all letters have thin and thick parts. And the A, for example, has 2 thick main bars and 1 thin bar in the middle. Yeah. And I speed up the process of sketching with 100%. So the whole sketch took me in total 5 hours and 20 minutes, something like that. But I know that nobody will see a 5 hours long video, so I will speed it up a little bit. Yeah, B is leaning to the left, L to the right, A to the left, so K has to lean to the right side. And I want to add this heart shape element at the bottom. And I always see what opportunities will come along my way. And then I thought it would be nice if the L would turn into the left main bar of A at the bottom. Kind of. And the B was such a problem. I erased the B so much. But this happens to me also very often, that I start with one letter just to start somehow. I create some ideas on the way, so all the other letters that follow afterwards look so much cooler than the first one, and then I have to erase the first one so that it is as cool as the other letters. Yeah, this is completely subjective, but yeah, this is what we're doing this for. I mean, many people always ask me to judge their letters or to say something to their graffiti. But in my opinion, your letters have to speak to you and tell you if they look good or not. And you are just satisfied with a letter that looks good. So this feeling of being satisfied tells you that the letter is good. And when you're not satisfied, then you have to think, like, what is it that disturbs me? Is it the wrong angle? Is it an extra element that somehow is weird? Yeah, and you just need to try out a lot. And this is why I love to work with a pencil and erase a lot. And it also takes away a lot of pressure to... Yeah, sometimes these artists' thoughts that you have in your brain, that everything has to be perfect from the beginning. This also makes the process harder. It is so weird. Why are we artists so stupid? But we are always making the process hard for ourselves instead of just painting. And I found out that it helps me so much to feel more free, to make more experiments, to enjoy the process more, when I start on a separate piece of paper where I can make all these tryouts, and where I also can make some creases into the piece of paper when erasing too much, or even erase a hole into the piece of paper. Because then I am free to try out a lot of stuff and don't feel the pressure that when I erase too much, that at some point the paper will get shitty for the sketch afterwards. Because when you erase too much at one spot, sometimes the paper gets like a dark spot that you can't erase anymore, or it starts to peel off a little bit and the surface starts to get different, and when you make your fill in at this point, it will look shitty. And I make all these tryouts on a different piece of paper, and this helped me so much. Yeah. And this makes me feel free to erase the B like 5 times, the L 3 times, and also the E until I'm happy with it. Yeah, and I tried something really unusual. I made the E, as the E should lean to the left side. I made the top part of the E melt on the left side with the right leg of A. Yeah, and as the L turns into the left bar of A, I want to make the K turn into the left bar of R at the end, so that we have a similar situation that repeats within the piece, so that it all looks more uniform, so that it all does not look so that it all looks more planned within the chaos. The E gets this tiny extra bar at the top. Still not happy with the K. I had to adjust the top part of K a bit because the gap between the main bar and the top right bar of K, the gap was just too small. And comparable to the I of the E, the top negative space, it has to be just bigger because the B has so big holes, the A has a pretty big hole, and the K hole has to be uniform in comparison to all other holes as well. Blake. Only the R is still missing. Smoe. Some tiny adjustments at the K. So the R has to lean to the right side. Yeah, and the question is, what will we be doing with this big gap that we will have at the top between E and R? So I give the R a similar hook like I gave the L, but downwards. And what also is interesting is that concave endings, like at the bottom of L or at the bottom of the right leg of A, that the ending as a concave round form. And I will do the same with the R as well, and this gives the whole, this gives it so much more flow when you start with a concave ending. And so I add the same concave shape to the top part of R as well, like the L also has. And the first chip and a section line, adding section lines here and there just to fill the white space a little bit within the letters. But I have to say that I'm still not happy with the BL combination. The L and the B are overlapping just a little bit too much. But this still needs a little bit of adjustment. But let's focus first on the ending of R. Yes. The heart or the broken halo at the top, of course, my signature element that is always flying on top of every piece and every sketch that I do, I think for about 5 years already, 5-6 years. And I was scrolling through my library of all my sketches and walls that I did, and this actually is the first one, a wall with moan. There's also a video about this on my YouTube channel. It is from 2019, October 2019, and this is the first time that I have this glowing heart, my broken halo, on top of one of my pieces. Yeah, now the Odyssey with the B starts. I was just not happy with the B. The R is flowing so much. Like the Leica is so cool, and the B, it was just not fitting, and I felt like that the B was overlapping too much with the L. They were just fighting too much. I mean, the L is on top of the A as well, but it is not going through the face of the A. So the A is still completely visible. Everything that is necessary to identify the A is still visible. But the L was going right through the bottom part of B, and yeah, I was just not happy with that. Yeah, and this is not the solution. This just is not the solution. The B has to be higher or even more to the left side and close the gap that appears at the top then with the A, or however. But this is not the solution. Even if the B starts to flow more. But no. No. Yeah, and my idea here was that like I already did with the E, that I give it an unusual big top part that is leaning a lot to the left side. I will do the same with the B to close the gap at the top. I will give it a so much bigger top part than the bottom part. Yeah, I think this looks cool, but it still does not change anything about the problem between B and L. Yeah, then I started to think about extra elements where I can add them. Maybe a big lid on top of K. And I also love it when there are extra elements growing out of the heart shape at the bottom. Making the B even thicker so that it can melt in a tiny melting point between B and A. Sometimes I love to force the letters so that they touch each other just in a tiny point and melt together. This does something to me, I don't know. I just like it. So these are the points where the letters melt together or can melt together in just a tiny point. And you can always have some tiny melting points here and there. I know that I will work on a tiny melting point between E and R. Tiny melting points are just beautiful. Yeah, we could solve the problem between B and L with a very, very clever way of slicing them together. So that only the not so important parts are covered from the other letter, but it is still a hard one, a tough one. So I make some tryouts how to maybe slice them. So that still enough of L is visible. Maybe like that. But no, there's like that. There's too much L covered by the B. Yeah, sometimes some letters they just don't want to look right, and they need some extra care until they look nice. Maybe to the bottom. But now the B looks so fat in comparison to the R. So maybe without any extension at the bottom. Yeah. And we could solve the emptiness on the left bottom side with an extra bar that comes from the heart shape of K that somehow interacts with the B. Yeah, might be. Yo, and if you want to support my YouTube channel a little bit, please check out my web shop smonova.de. We ship worldwide and Christmas is coming. So yeah, maybe a sticker pack would be a nice gift idea. All stickers are based on real graffitis that are painted somewhere in abandoned factories, under bridges. You have probably seen one or the other YouTube video about these styles that you can see as tiny sticker designs or canvases. And yeah, please check it out, smonova.de. I'm always happy if you like to support me. And also, if you see this video a little bit later and Christmas is already over, check out my web shop anyways, because we are working on Sticker Pack 3, we are working on merch. I will give you a little sneak peek in this video about our merch also. And yeah, this helps a lot. YouTube does not pay me well. Thank you. We are now in the last 10% of the sketch of the letters, and these are the hardest because you don't want to miss an opportunity to add something somewhere, but you don't want to add too much to it so that you overstyle it somewhere, or that you lose the balance of the letters. Now we have way too much weight on the left side, I think it was better before, where the scap was more upwards. The scap, the single connected extra bar that is growing out of the heart shape on the left side, and there is such a single connected extra bar, such a scap growing out of the bottom of E. This one looks super nice in my opinion. This really helps. Then we add a long one from the mouth of E that goes through the R and it is just chopped off. Nice. But still the left side with the B looks shitty. Another tiny melting point between the scap of E and the hook of R. A chip at the end of the chop of the scap. What? What a nice sentence. So I add the even in a speech bubble, and I wanted to work with a standard, a little bit stylized serif font, because I did the same in one of my last digital sketches that I did in a Halloween exchange on my Discord server. This is the place where all the guys from the Smoe class who are still interested in learning graffiti letters together with me hang around and we do different challenges. And this was the straight letter Halloween theme challenge, and we chose different names of each other, and I got the name from Panther. And I added my own tag in such a serif font underneath it, and I wanted to work with it again, but I just had the feeling like that this is just not fitting well to the Blaker sketch. So I erased the even again and added it in a straight letter version without any serifs. EVA. And the N. Yeah, this fits so much better. Little block to give it some thickness. Adding a speech bubble that is smaller than the letters. A little flowish thingy underneath it. I don't know how it is called. Yeah, adding more weight to the side that already has too much weight does not solve anything. So, plan B. I scanned the whole sketch. I'll put it in Procreate on my iPad Pro, and then I will have to morph it there a little bit. And this is what I love so much about Procreate, that you can morph the whole sketch like it was a piece of clay. And as I also noticed that the sketch was way too big for the piece of paper, so that I don't have enough space anymore for the character, I also made it a little bit smaller. So let's start with Godzilla. I opened Google image search on my computer and took this for the reference of Godzilla, but Godzilla basically looks like a fat T-Rex that has not the stupid short arms, that has very human-like long arms and a way smaller head. And then you just need to add these spikes of a Stegosaurus on the back, and then you have Godzilla. So Godzilla is basically just a mix between a human T-Rex and a Stegosaurus. So, and the head is pretty T-Rex-like, but just a little bit more bulky, a little bit thicker, and a little bit more boxy. It has a square head. And I do the same technique like I did at the beginning when I opened Procreate. I love to morph the proportions until they look right. So yeah, better. Yeah, and I want that the character interacts with the piece, so it has to grab the piece. Oh, I already painted Godzilla once together with Doke. This was the first legendary wall where Doke and me met the first time. I will show it to you real quick. Doke was so young. Yeah, this was 2018, and I painted my own name. I painted Smoe and painted this Godzilla character, and it was grabbing the stone at the bottom and also was grabbing my piece, and the tail of Godzilla was going around my piece. And I want to do something similar to this Godzilla, but I used the classic Godzilla, not the newer version of Godzilla that I painted in 2018 that had too many spikes in my opinion and did not look that Godzilla-ish anymore. And we want to have a very Godzilla-ish Godzilla. That reminds more to the old Godzilla videos where a real man was in this Godzilla costume. What was the reason for the human-like arms? Yeah, and the spikes, the Stegosaurus spikes at the top. And the other claw grabs the R of Blaker. Yeah, the end of the tail goes around on the left side. Now we got so much more weight on the right side, so we need something to balance that on the left side again, and I decided to go with a skyline, just some random shapes. Some bubbles, or clouds. And my first idea was to put the vanishing point on Godzilla. Ah, but this looks shitty. I will change this later. It still needs a little bit more weight on the left side. And of course the heart has to be a little bit higher, as it now turns out to be way too close to the piece. Yeah, I sent this to my printer, printed 2 A4 pieces of paper together, turned it into an A3 size, and started to transfer the sketch to my final piece of paper. I use my pencil just to measure that it is centered. And I use some tape that is not sticking on paper, so that this tape does not destroy the paper. And you can stick a piece of paper and remove the tape afterwards easily. Yeah, now all I need to do is to trace all these dirty first lines to the final piece of paper. I could skip this part and immediately go on the piece of paper with a fine liner. Yeah, but I still wanted to do some tiny things here and there that I can do on the final piece of paper. And after 45 minutes of working on the first lines. Ah, okay.
Klar, voll.
My wife has something to say. Because she was simultaneously working on our merch.
Möchte gerne jetzt irgendwie.
Me and my wife, we are recently planning our merch, and this is one of the first designs. It's from the 420 square meters wall that I painted with Moan and Brain Paint Circle.
Oh my goodness, this is really big.
And this is one of the first sample pullovers that we have here. On the front side it will be a Smoe Nova roll-up tag. And it will be available in different colors. And my wife is working on this recently. And I like the print quality, it's pretty good. Happy with it. Yo. Bitteschön.
Also das machen wir auf jeden Fall.
So we will definitely have this motive.
Aber das ist so lustig, je länger man jetzt den hat, ne, und hinten mit dem Print, umso cooler finde ich das.
Ja, weil man am Anfang ja immer so unsicher ist, ne? Das ist ja.
Aber dieses Nova, das muss ich.
My wife said that she was insecure with this motive at the beginning, and the longer she stares at it, the more she likes it. Yeah, and this happens. Happens to me very often that I'm just not able to process what I've done. In the moment when I finished an artwork, sometimes I even think it looks shitty, even if it is everything fine with it, just because I am just tired of painting the whole day, and my brain just does not tell me that it is good anymore. And this was what happened to my wife, and she said that she likes the design so much more now after staring at it for some time, and she was a little bit insecure if this looks nice. But I'm happy that we can finally do something with it. In 2017 or 18, when we painted this wall, back then I was not making anything, like no prints, nothing. I was just hoping somehow that one day my YouTube channel will blow off, and I will make enough money to be able to make more videos, but this never happened. So I had to start something, and merch. I think merch is a great way to do something with all the nice designs that I always paint. So probably by the beginning of December 2025, we will have merch on our website. Finally. So many people told me, like, do this, and but you need to find the time to set everything up, and we are setting everything up for like 3 weeks already. We have all the samples here at home, and building this shop, and all the infrastructure with international shipping and so on. This is really, it is intense. It's a lot of work, but once everything's set up, then it will be easy. I start the first lines with thin lines, with the thin tip of the fine liner. So I can refine the outlines later when I make them a little bit thicker. And I start with the first lines of Godzilla in gray. Many people ask me what markers I use. These are all Ohuhu markers. Once I had the opportunity to get a video sponsored by them, and I tested them, and they are really, really good. I'm really happy with them. Like, I will not buy any Copics anymore. This is just a waste of money. The only problem that the Ohuhu markers have, and everybody knows it, but Copics have the same problem as well, is that the lids of the markers, they just don't fit well to the color that is inside of the marker. So you need to test every single marker on a piece of paper first before using them, because sometimes you have a super light blue on the lid, you use it and it is a mid-tone or even a darkish blue. So always test them first on a different piece of paper. And besides that, they're extremely good. I really like them. But you will see it at the end. This whole sketch will look like if it was printed. Yeah, what also is different between the T-Rex and Godzilla is that Godzilla has the teeth mounted outside of his mouth, while the T-Rex, when the T-Rex closes the mouth, the teeth are inside. So Godzilla has no lips. I wanted to go with red outlines, as always, but I forced myself not to use red outlines, and so I used a very unsaturated red that is called brown. And it does not happen that often that I use a different color for the blocks, for the depth of the letters, that is called the block. And most times I use the same color for the blocks like for the outlines. I don't know. Back then I have tried so many things, and I always came back to what I like the most, and this is when blocks and outlines just have the same color and were just divided by shadings. And so this probably is my style. Sometimes I try to force myself to do something differently, but not too much. I mean, I have a new L in here. This is enough for me. While these fine liners, they are water-based, they are not alcohol-based like these other like the other Copic-like markers from Ohuhu. So you can see that when I paint 2 times over the same spot, it gets a little bit darker. But that's fine. I don't get paid to make any advertisement for them. The paper that I use for the sketch is Munken Polar. It's a pretty expensive, heavyweight coated paper. But the advantage of it is that it does not get wobbly when it gets a little bit of marker fill-ins, or when your hand is a little bit sweaty, that the whole piece of paper starts to wobble. And I was just some minutes ago, my son asked me if I can help him with an effect that he wants to sketch on a piece of paper, and he's working on copy paper. Copy paper is terrible. It is so thin, and the problem is when your paper gets wobbly and you want to paint something, you never know when your marker touches the piece of paper. Yo, and this is the alcohol-based marker. I changed right in the middle. So the left side of the blocks is filled with water-based marker and the right side is filled with alcohol-based marker. But the alcohol-based markers, they have the advantage that you can fill in big spaces and they all have one uniform color without any changes in it. And this makes it look so nice. This makes it look like if it was a print. And the best thing is also that you can sketch over parts that are filled in with alcohol-based markers with colored pencils. So I can still give this highlights and shadings. So here come the fine liners, black ones. I don't know if it is visible that much on camera, but I give the whole blocks some shadings here and there, so that the block gets more depth. So all parts that are facing downwards turn black. And we have some shadows in the blocks. But you will see it at the end when I do some close-up shots. The light source for the whole sketch is at the top left side. So basically all the blocks are dark. As the block is facing to the right side and the light comes from the left, so all blocks will be in the shade. So, time for some fill-in. You can see at the bottom on my sliding paper, I did some tryouts with different orange tones. And I don't work with there are two different types of fill-ins. And the one is the backfill. That is maybe a fading from light yellow to orange at the bottom, and the fading is always at the same height. So in every letter, the same height, the light yellow turns into a mid-tone yellow, and the mid-tone yellow turns into a light orange, and this turns into orange, always at the same height. But I don't like to use this type of backfill. I make a variation of it, so all letters have a different type of fill-in. That always one letter that overlaps another letter has a different color. So it is even more easy for your brain to divide which part belongs to which letter. And this gives the whole piece an even cleaner look, in my opinion. It leads your eye more through the letters. So every letter has an individual fading. And I work wet in wet, so you need to be fast. The paint is not allowed to dry, because when it dries, then you can't smudge them together anymore. So I have all the colors that I need in my left hand, and always change them real quick. But as it was all a little bit too brownish, I wanted to also bring in a more saturated orange. These are all decisions on the run. I have no plan. I just, when I finish the outlines and when I have to make a fill-in, I just think, what can I do? Look into the colors, make some tryouts, and when I feel orange today, I use orange. But I think maybe I was using an orange color palette because this reminded me a bit to the pieces that I did in Bratislava with Doke, because this was also orange and yeah, but different. Yeah, at this point I want to say a big thanks to everyone who's still here. In reality, it is the next day for voice-over-Smoe. Yesterday I just managed to do the voiceover of the first hour. And as I completely forgot what I was telling you, I had to listen to myself again. And now I'm back. Hi! I think 90% of you out there are probably sketching themselves now as well. So if you're doing so, and you have an Instagram account, I'm always happy to share videos of what you are sketching right now, and then you move your phone up
to your screen where you're watching my video. Tag me in it. I will share it. I think it's always interesting to see what you are doing out there, as I'm sending all the time, but sometimes I really like to receive something and to just get a sneak view into your world. It's interesting. And I nearly forgot the lid underneath L. And as the fill-in is pretty, yeah, it is a mid-tone, and the outlines are pretty darkish. To increase the contrast so that the contrast even in the dark parts is as high as it is at the top parts, where we have a super light orange that has a great contrast to the dark brown, I added an inline. This is not a highlight. A highlight would be a line between the outline and the fill-in that is always just at the parts of the letters that are facing into the direction of the light source. So all parts of the letters that are facing upwards and to the left would get a highlight, but this is an inline. That means all around the fill-in, between the fill-in and the outline, I will add a light line with such a acrylic marker from Montana cans. This is the best way to add these thin lines. No! I'm so stupid. I just forgot that I have even better markers, and I was so annoyed the whole time that they are not that good. And I have better markers and I forgot to use them. Because I got some acrylic markers from Uhu as well, and they are even a bit better. The ink is floating better than the ink from the acrylic markers from Montana cans, because you can always just make like 3-4 centimeters of a nice line with the acrylic markers from Montana cans, and then you need to press them again on a separate piece of paper so that you don't make a blob into your sketch. You don't want that. And then you can make another 3 centimeters of these outlines, of these inlines, and this is so stupid. Why did I forget this? Okay, my life could have been so easy, and I even have different colors of them. Okay, I will do it in the next sketch. Yeah, I was just cleaning up my YouTube studio where all the material is laying, and I must have put them to a different place, and then I forgot that I have them. Next time. But this also works. Just takes a little bit longer. You always need to press, make some centimeters, press again, make some centimeters. Or even press at the top of the A. I was pressing in the sketch, and right at this moment there comes a little blob out there. Here you can see how much this inline increases the contrast. It is so good. I don't make the inline on both sides of a section line. I just choose one of them, mostly the bottom one, or the one that is facing into the direction of the light source. I forgot one of the outlines to make it thicker. Oh, and another one. As usual, I always forget something. Always. What I really like about this sketch is that the concave shape at the bottom of L turns into the right leg of A that goes up and turns into, like when you imagine how the line would continue, then you have a wobbly M shape between the bottom of L, the bottom of A, and the bottom of R. This gives it like a wavy shape that goes all through the letters. I also made the thin middle bar of A matching to the thin part of K. Yeah, some shadows always below elements that are overlapping other elements. Always at the bottom and the right side, so at the opposite side of the light source. And then I use a colored pencil in a light brownish, mid-tone brownish, to add some decent, nice fadings here and there. I always add a horizon line in the middle of each letter and go down, fade it downwards so that the that it looks like if there was like a reflection of a landscape that gives it a little bit of a chrome effect, like a gold effect in this case. When it is an orangey chrome effect, it is a gold effect. Not too much, but a little bit. And I always press hard at the top, and then I go down and reduce how much I press with the colored pencil. And at the bottom, then I just let the pencil flow over the paper without pressing at all. And this is the way how I apply these fadings. And the best thing is you can't only make things darker that way. You can also add fadings with a colored pencil into spaces that you've filled with the Uhu markers and make them lighter. For example, the blue chips that I did at the bottom in the heart shape, they're lighter than the background itself. And that way you can also add light reflections to the blocks, and this is what I will do soon as well. Many people were asking me, when does the next raw video come? When does the next raw video come? I don't know if you have seen the video about the pixel project that I did like 6 weeks ago. I was just trapped. I was trapped in a project that took, I think, 19 days longer than expected. I was planning with 9 days or 18 days. I was planning with 9 days and it took 18 days. And then I had to reduce everything that is not 100% necessary the following weeks. And then I just had no time to make any YouTube videos or anything because there are more important things that really make money and that are not just advertisement or fun. And this is why I just did not find the time for the raw videos, even if I like them the most as well. I think it is super chill just to watch the whole process, have some nice voiceover, and have something that you can play in the background while doing something yourself. Yeah, but they will come more often now. As long as I don't get trapped in a commission again. But if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you to see the Pixel Project video. Yeah, and there you can see how I add with an orange tone. I add some light reflections. This makes it look so nice. Also on top of the outlines that are facing into the direction of the light source. Just here and there, it is not that much, but do you see this difference? So smooth. always at the top and the left side, I add light reflections on the outlines and randomly give the blocks some shadings here and there. Yeah, they're not right, but like, you know the sentence of me. I always say it does not have to be right, it just has to look right. And sometimes it is more helpful to show that there is a kink in the block somewhere where you would otherwise have just one dark space. And when you just put a little fading in there, even if the light reflection at this point does not make that much sense, it gives your eye more information about the geometry there. And right now I'm talking about the inside of the L. Yeah, now I add blue chip designs or turquoise, malachite, turquoise. I think this is turquoise. All these chips are always in a 90 degrees angle to the direction of the single stroke of the letter. So if you have a stroke that goes from left to right, the chips will be from top to bottom. Always in a 90 degrees angle to the single stroke of the letter. Or the single bar. There's a long discussion about the bar principle. There are so many tutorials that explain graffiti letters with bars, but nobody ever explained what a bar is. And one day it clicked in my brain and I understood that a bar is a stroke, and that a stroke is a line, a thick line on a piece of paper with a tool, and this explains so much about the endings of a letter, about how the bar behaves in a round shape. I've ranted about this several times, that these tutorials are always about an A that has just 3 straight bars. Yeah, it is easy, but the problem starts when you have a round shape, and we want round shapes. And how does a bar behave in a round shape? And one day it just clicked to me, and I understood that the letters are made from strokes. That a bar is a stroke. That it is a stroke with an imaginary tool, like you would do an imaginary tag on a piece of paper, and surround it with your outline. And the outline is just the result of this stroke. So it is not the outline that creates the letter, it is the letter that creates the outline, and the letter is made from strokes. I add some tiny designs, just black lines that are facing also into the direction of the vanishing point, and make the blocks a bit more interesting. Some orange fadings. Yeah, and the lid still looks so naked underneath the L. Much better. Greeting to the family. 2 stripes, 4 dots. And we start with Godzilla. Oh yeah! I have absolutely no idea about Godzilla. I have seen just a few Godzilla movies. I'm not such a big fan of Godzilla. I already posted the short version of this video on my Instagram, and somebody wrote it is Zilla, not Godzilla. Sorry. I will say Godzilla to it. It looks like Godzilla. Probably it's the same like Frankenstein, as the monster is not Frankenstein, and everybody says Frankenstein to the monster, even if it is the monster from Frankenstein. Maybe it is something like that. And this is Zilla, not Godzilla. But you know what I mean. For me it is Godzilla. I never heard about Zilla before. I know there's a rapper that is called Zilla. Yeah, I start with a gray fill in first and will work all the details out afterwards. The mouth, I did not want to go with a pink tone or a real red. I think it looks more natural, more realistic if it is a brown. And I want to make the back of Godzilla with less contrast, so that it looks like if there was some atmosphere between the head that is in the foreground and the back that is like Godzilla is a gigantic monster. It is probably 100 meters away. So I will work with black outlines at the front and only gray outlines for all the parts that are more far away. I use a black fine liner. Thickness is 0.7 millimeters. And I give the claws more structure. And of course there has to be a shadow of the claws on the piece, on the letters. these teeth will be black as we see them from the inside of the mouth. But all the other teeth will be darker afterwards also, as Godzilla does not have like this super clean white toothpaste advertisement teeth. Godzilla never brushes its teeth, so they start to become gray and dark. So this is the first layer of gray. And I tried to smudge the light gray and the darker gray, but it is not possible anymore. Once the colors dried, you cannot make these super nice fadings anymore. So always be careful. If you want to make fadings, do them instantly. So the bottom teeth in the mouth, of course, they are black inside as well, or dark inside as well. Some more detail in the tongue. And even some more shadow with a darker gray. But like I said, I don't plan this, I just do it on the run, and I always see what does the sketch still need, and when there is not enough contrast and it needs a little bit more dark color, then I use some dark color. And I also wanted to have a bigger contrast between the head and the body of Godzilla. And I tried it with this orange fading. This was just the beginning, but I was not happy with it because the piece is orange and the fading is orange. We will find a better solution for that. And that's the wonderful thing about fantasy creatures, where nobody knows really how they look like. You can give them details that absolutely make no sense, and your brain will be satisfied so quickly. Just put some lines here and there, put some random shadows here and there, and suddenly your brain puts it all together and says, oh yeah, of course, this is how this creature looks like. And I freestyled all of that. Give it some structure, like if there would be big muscles at the side of the neck. The teeth needed a little bit more contrast. Bigger nose holes. Okay, next try green. But as there was already orange on it, and I erased the orange. When you erase, then you change the surface of the paper and you can't apply colored pencil that well anymore. But there is still one thing that you can always do, and this is add acrylic markers on top of everything. With acrylic markers you can paint with a white marker over black. It is like the same with spray paint. This is what I like about acrylic markers, but what I don't like about acrylic markers is that they add such a thick layer on the paper. But I did not see any other chance to add a really nice green at the side of the head, so I will add some acrylic marker there. Yeah, some just random black lines. Not super random, but yeah. I hatched a lot. The word is hatched. I hatched a lot in the shadows. Also added some lines that look like if there was a big vein on its biceps. Always some green reflections at the in the shadow. And I give the spikes on the back of Godzilla some more details. And now comes the magic weapon. No, not yet. Okay. Yeah, I made the teeth even darker. Some more skin structure on the arm. And it's always the same. You always need to ask yourself, am I happy like it is right now? Or is there still some potential to make it better? Yeah, and there comes the secret weapon. I use an acrylic marker from Montana cans. I think this one is even neon. So very, very shiny. And you can smudge it with a dry brush so that you can create a fading. Same like with the colored pencil, you can create a tiny fading with a dry brush. But the spikes in the background, they still need a little bit more details as well. And like I said at the beginning, I would just make them with a gray, not with black, so that it appears like that the spikes on the back are more far away than the head. But that means that we need some black at the spikes at the front so that they look different than the spikes in the back. And I made them even darker. Now we can easily see, okay, these are the spikes at the front and the other ones are at the back. Yeah, of course the piece needs to cast a shadow on the arm of Godzilla, and the hand needs to cast a shadow on the block of the R. I'm searching for a green for the slime in the background or for this smoke, but I decided that I will go with the same green like I did in Godzilla, and this was definitely a good decision.
My desk slowly turns into chaos. The classic Smoe smoke. But in green it seems like to be some sort of a slime. With a green outline, I make the slime more smooth. And all outlines that are facing downwards and to the right will be a little bit thicker, so that it looks like if this Smoe smoke slime had a tiny thickness. With a really light blue, I fill the skyscrapers in the background. Also add some without outlines, like if they were even more far away than those with the outline. Add a bridge. Some designs here and there, some details. Some antennas. Ah, that's enough. Ah, okay. The speech bubble also gets a shadow, of course. And the last background element gets a yellow beige color. The clouds. Maybe it is dust. Because Godzilla destroys everything behind the piece, behind the letters. We don't know. So, and same as everything in this sketch, also this clouds have the light source on the top left. So all these bubbles of the clouds will get a shadow on the right and at the bottom. And I remember that I felt pretty insecure while sketching them like that, while adding this shadow. I just thought it is too much. It has a too high of a contrast.
But sometimes you're just afraid and you need to continue and see if it is really as bad as you are feeling it. Trust the process. I also still need to add details to the tail. They're still missing. And I also add a shadow, an even darker shadow with a fine liner, a brown fine liner, and hatch a little bit into the clouds. So I can still give the clouds in the shade also a little bit of structure, so that it looks like if it has these ball roundish wobble bobbles. Now let's move the camera a bit. And now the clouds have more contrast, but the contrast is not as high as the contrast of the Godzilla, because the Godzilla has black and the clouds only have brown as the darkest color. I think this music is so funny. I was searching for nice music for the background of this video on I think it's this Epidemic Sound or something, and I just found nice music for 1 hour and 20 minutes, and now I just have to repeat it. I think it is fine. But I just noticed it because I was laughing a little bit about this music when I started sketching Godzilla, and now it comes again. Neat. To make the even fit to the other letters, I decided to make even in orange. Yeah, still the tail is missing. Do the tail. Ah, yeah, and my heart. And even if it looks everything super nice already, at the end there's so much excitement within me, because I'm also a little bit afraid to do one last step that messes everything up. And then I gave the eye this red glow or orange glow. This is so cool. Dramatic. And to give it everything more motion, I decided to add just some flying stones, like if Godzilla was crashing through something and appears behind the graffiti. Yeah, and what I noticed is that the acrylic marker, it soaks into the paper if there is no colored pencil underneath it, so that it is that shiny between the hand and the head of Godzilla is just because there was like an undercoating of colored pencil. And at the bottom, at the scap of E, where I added also a little bit of a green reflection, it is not necessary to be that super shiny, but I noticed that it soaks into the paper and I just left it like that. But it seems like that if you have a dark space and you want to add some acrylic there, it helps to make it shiny if there is an undercoating of colored pencil. Super weird. Just as I had the feeling that there is still a little bit missing, just a tiny little bit, I added this mosaic as a second background or third background behind the clouds. I love to work with multiple backgrounds. Here we have a skyline as the background, we have smoke as the background, we have clouds as the background, and also we have this mosaic, like 4 different backgrounds. Yeah, and usually with the tag, the piece is already finished. Yeah, but I was staring at it for some minutes and then I decided, no, I want to add a green, shiny second outline. Not everywhere, but here and there, just to divide the piece a little bit more from the Godzilla. And yeah, these markers, they're also, I think, from Uhuhu, but they are shit. This ball, gel ball, I don't know what's the name of them. They're just shit. Don't buy them. They're super scratchy. It feels like if you would paint with a needle on the paper. It feels like you were really scratching into it, and they stop painting every 5 millimeters or something. This is why you need to wobble the this ballpoint gel pen from side to side all the time, just to be able to make a line at all. And they're just shit. And it annoys me so much that I forgot that I have these other acrylic markers also from Uhuhu that I have in my other room. And if I had them, it would be so nice. It would be so nice. But yeah. I always say you need to work with what you have, but it is just so stupid to have even better markers to paint with them, and you just don't use them because you're so stupid that you forgot that you have them. Terrible. But if you have any suggestions for white lines or colorful covering lines that you can make over black, for example, in a sketch, please write down all your suggestions for good material to use in the comments, because we are a big community and we are all just trying out different stuff all the time. If you have any good experience with any ballpoint gel pens or acrylic markers, just let us know. Would be nice. Yo. And as we are coming to the end of this video, of course, I want to thank my patrons, my beloved Helpy Gang on Patreon, who support me with $5 each month because they like my content and want to support me to be able to make more videos like that. And if you would love to support me as well, you're always welcome to join the Helpy Gang on Patreon. Also, you can check out my website, get yourself whatever you can find there. You can also check out my online course, the Smoe class, where I teach graffiti letters and give you all feedback to all your uploads. You can upload your sketches there and I give you feedback. It's a great community. And and I try to make a shiny blinky there as the very, very, very last step. I think one day I should invest a little bit of money into an airbrush system, so that I can also add like airbrush designs and airbrush blinkies, and this will also upgrade my sketch game a bit, I would say. But so far, I have to say I'm super, super happy with this one. Feel free to leave a comment, do all the YouTube things. If you want to write me that I forgot a shadow, in 20 seconds I will also add some more shadows. But please give this YouTube a video, give it a like, subscribe to my channel. And this is the final, nearly final result. So even, I hope that you like the sketch that I made for you. I in person like it very much. And I also added the missing shadow here. And also the other one at the E, where the E is overlapping the R. And we see us in the next video. Bye bye.